He said, I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments. And he said, I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail. So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, are we still going to war with Iraq? And he said, oh, it's worse than that. He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, this is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
I've mentioned my sense, and I think I speak for the group as a whole, that this is not a document which targets some future transitional process beginning at a date yet to be determined, but is a document that can inform how we engage in support of the Syrian opposition today. But how does that happen is that the document has become something of a reference point for global debate and discussion about processes of transition in Syria. It has been endorsed by the Syrian National Council. It has strong support among the Syrian Muslim Brotherhood. It's been very widely circulated among local coordination committees inside of Syria. It was endorsed by the European Union Parliament in a resolution that was passed on September 13th.
We were aware that the day after is not really something far away. It's starting right now. It's happening while we were in the first few months of the uprising. I consider our birth date is the first day of the uprising. We supported by international expertise in all the domains that we have discussed, and we came up with these recommendations. How to take it from A to B, how to make sure that the goals of this revolution being achieved. We are not saying what we want to do in this document. We are saying how we gonna do it.
Hillary Clinton has described already the meeting in the White House over 2 years ago. Everyone in the national security team recommended arming ISIS, and the president.
So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
How are you going to do it? Because I don't think it's been at all successful yet.
A new Syrian force program has gotten off to a slow start.
And, is it still the goal to have about 12,000 of them there? Is that still the goal? What's the expectation then for them?
Well, we certainly won't. At the pace we're going, we won't reach the goal that we had initially established for ourselves. But the overall goal is to make sure that we have enough mass to be able to get work done on the.
Alarming new images of American-made weapons falling into the hands of ISIS. M16s, heavy machine guns.
American armored vehicles and Humvees, and left behind a trail of death.
As we continue to aid and arm despotic regimes in Egypt, we are also about to send weapons to Islamic rebels in Syria. There are currently 17 different rebel groups in Syria, including the largest group, al-Nusra. Al-Nusra fighters are radical, anti-American jihadists, and they're affiliated with al-Qaeda. But your politicians in Washington are eager to send weapons. How can we ask our brave young men and women to fight against al-Qaeda in some countries and with al-Qaeda in other countries?
Is the United States supporting al-Qaeda in Syria? The answer is yes.
Fact number one. There is no question that al-Qaeda fighters are part of the opposition forces attempting to overthrow Syria's government. Fact number two, the creation of al-Qaeda wasn't Islamic fundamentalism. It was the CIA. The Mujahideen was created by the CIA to cause problems for the Soviets. And you might say that's crazy talk, right? Here's Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
To be fair, we had helped to create the problem we're now fighting. How? Because when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, we had this brilliant idea that we were going to come to Pakistan and create a force of mujahideen, equip them with Stinger missiles and everything else to go after the Soviets inside Afghanistan. And we were successful. The Soviets left Afghanistan, and then we said, Great, goodbye. Leaving these trained people who were fanatical in Afghanistan and Pakistan, leaving them well armed, creating a mess, frankly, that at the time we didn't really recognize. We were just so happy to see the Soviet Union fall, and we thought, okay, fine, we're okay now. Everything's going to be so much better. Now you look back, the people we're fighting today, we were supporting in the fight against the Soviets.
But of course, it's not just Russia that's bombing your enemies, it's the United States. Do you welcome American airstrikes against ISIS?
No, because it's not legal. First of all, it's not legal.
It's not legal for Russia to do it, is it?
No, they are invited legally, informally by the Syrian government.
Нет силы, возможности повлиять на своих союзников, или они не хотят влиять? Зачем они бомбят ИГИЛ? Вот там начали нефть добывать и больше платить. И там часть сразу этих боевиков перетекла из так называемой цивилизованной оппозиции, сразу же перетекла в ИГИЛ, потому что там больше платят. Я считаю, что это абсолютно невыверенная, непрофессиональная политика, без опоры на реалии. Надо поддержать цивилизованную демократическую оппозицию в Сирии. Ну, поддержали, дали оружие, а завтра половина боевиков оттуда ушла и перешла в ИГИЛ. Что, нельзя было об этом подумать чуть-чуть пораньше? Вот мы против такой политики Соединенных Штатов.
Of course, he moved all the capabilities in, he built the runways, he built the establishment, and then was ready to strike. And instead of revealing anything to carry from Lavrov or from him to Obama, he has a Russian general show up at our embassy in Baghdad an hour before it starts. And what's the first target? The people we are supporting in arming and training and equipment. What better way to stick their thumb in our eye?
I wouldn't rule out multilateral efforts outside of the UN to impose costs on Syria or Russia or others with regard to the situation inside of Syria. We've done that in the past, and I wouldn't take that off the table in terms of the options that the President may consider in this situation.
We need to make the Iranians pay a price in Syria. We need to make the Russians pay a price. The other thing I would do...
We make them pay the price by killing Russians?
Yes.
They're attacking the very guys who we want to see topple Assad. You would let American planes just continue to pass them and let them do that?
No, but I might do what we did in Afghanistan many years ago to give those guys the ability to shoot down those planes. That equipment is available.
Who would be shooting them down?
The Free Syrian Army. Just like the Afghans shot down the Russian. No, just like the Afghans shot down Russian planes after Russia invaded Afghanistan.
Yes, the U.S. supports the opposition, but not directly. They support the countries that back us. However, we are still not satisfied with this support. They should support us with advanced weapons. We were winning the fights thanks to TOW missiles. With these, we gained parity with the regime. We received tanks from Libya via Turkey and multiple rocket launching systems too. The regime's only advantage is tactical aircraft, rockets and rocket launchers. We captured some of the rocket launchers and received a lot from abroad. Thanks to the TOW missiles, we are able to keep the situation under control in many areas. We got the missiles directly. They were delivered to a certain group. When the road was closed and was encircled, we had officers from Turkey, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the US here.
Doing what?
They were experts on how to use satellites, missiles, reconnaissance operations, and thermal observation cameras.
Also American advisors?
Yes, there were experts from many countries.
Also American?
Yes.
Al-Nusra is Al-Qaeda's Syrian branch, and they have direct alliances with ISIS. Not that the distinction between Al-Nusra and the FSA would really change the equation. The FSA has publicly acknowledged on several occasions that they are cooperating with Al-Nusra, and the FSA command itself has been dominated by Islamic extremists since at least 2012.
أما فيما يخص بعض الفصائل التي مثلا يطالب الغرب بتصنيفها كمنظمات إرهابية جبهة النصرة. نعم، نحن نشعر أن هذه الجبهة بمكان ما هي يمكن الحوار معها. حول نعم، حول طبيعة الدولة القادمة، حول شكل الدولة القادمة، حول إمكانية هذه البلد على إقامة دولة التي تناسب الجميع. نحن في مكان ما يجب أن نتعاون ويجب أن نتحاور، وأنا على صلة بالجميع. أنا على صلة بالجميع ولا أخفي سرا بذلك، حتى فيما يخص الأخوة في جبهة النصرة، ونتعاون في أمكنة كثيرة.
So if the FSA and al-Nusra work together, and al-Nusra is working with ISIS, why haven't those funding and arming the FSA been charged with providing material support to terrorists?
In no event are we considering any kind of military action that would involve boots on the ground.
My answer is simple. I will not put American boots on the ground in Syria.
We all agree there will be no American boots on the ground.
And just as I've approved additional support for Iraqi forces against ISIL, I've decided to increase U.S. support for local forces fighting ISIL in Syria.
We have been arming people directly who are al-Qaeda. Al-Nusra Front is al-Qaeda. These people are psychopaths to the worst order. They are conducting suicide attacks. They are gassing people. We know, Carla Del Ponte said in May that it was the so-called rebels in Syria that were using sarin gas, not the Bashar al-Assad regime. No, it was not. We know that the United States president is arming people who are on the U.S. terrorist list. He should be convicted of aiding and abetting, giving material support to a terrorist organization. But then again, you know what? We, the West, the United States in particular, Israel and Britain, are the biggest terrorists on the planet. So our little junior partners in al-Qaeda, which is nothing more than a CIA database, thus the name al-Qaeda, this is nothing more than a group of terrorists working together, each playing one different role, but all of them working together for the same goal, which is to maintain this hideous and sick and twisted, unjust world that we have, which is a perpetual state of war. Always one illusion, one boogeyman after another. But the fact is, Obama is nothing more than a puppet war criminal, just like his predecessor and every other U.S. president before him. So please don't tell people out there that the U.S. is not involved. It's directly involved, and it is arming people who are absolute psychopaths.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.
We are going to be in the Middle East forever.